good morning, good morning. I am Catherine, your host. We are back for another edition of Good Morning to the Leader in You. And listen, we have a phenomenal guest that is with us today, Mr. Eric BOWIE. Listen, you see in his caption, Smart Money Bro. He's going to break it down how that company got started, why it got started, and what was his inspiration. Listen, let me just give you a little backdrop about Mr. Eric. He is a contracting officer. Specifically, he is in the planning and zoning department. He's a real estate investor, but more importantly, he is about the people. He's an educator, right? He wants to make sure that the knowledge that he has, it doesn't just stay to himself. He is very much about putting that information out there and making sure the masses is educated on how we can do what? We can level up, as the young people say. We can raise the bar to the next level. Eric, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to talk with you this morning. So I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Listen, for the viewers that's watching now, or for the viewers that's going to watch later, or if something that you're going to hear from this segment really touches you, share this link, share this episode with someone else you know. Eric, let's start off by letting the viewers know a little bit about who you are before you became an entrepreneur. Tell everybody why you even got excited about becoming an entrepreneur. What was that for you? Because some people say they had that aha moment or a light bulb went off, but tell us your journey. How did you become an entrepreneur?
Well, my journey from years ago, I started off like a lot of people, very humble beginnings. Didn't come from a wonderful two-parent, the Huxtables or anything like that. I came from a single parent. She was single after I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I'm the youngest of 5. Grew up in very humble beginnings, like I said. I wasn't an A student all throughout school. I was just an average student. I think I graduated high school with a 1.75 GPA. My first full year of going to community college, I had a 1.7 GPA, and I was on academic probation. But there was a light that kicked off on me when I was inside of me when I was about 20 years old or so. And it said, you know what can you do? What do you want to do? How can you make a difference? So I actually got into education. I started as a school teacher. I was a school teacher for the first 7 years of my professional life in my 20s. And then throughout that time as a school teacher, I began to say, there's other ways I can make some money other than just teaching school. Right. So what can I do? So I had so many jobs on the side, right? I was a sales guy at Circuit City. I was a shoe salesman guy. And it finally around 2012 or 13, when my daughter was about to go to college, I said, I don't want to be sitting working at Home Depot, right? Making $9, $10 an hour. I said, what can I do to start to make some money? So the very first venture I got into was I started an eBay store. And I had an eBay store. I made over $100,000 selling shoes on eBay. And I did that all in the effort of helping my daughter go to college. And so ultimately, throughout that time also, I started buying real estate. Even back about 20 years ago, I actually started buying real estate. And so I had a feel for having my own business, even through the real estate, owning single family property since about the year 2000, through all the years of the side gigs and through all the years of having an eBay store. So about 2017 or so, I really wanted to help out people. And I started looking at all the things I did. And a lot of the things I did had to do with money. And so I said, how can I leverage the information that I have about how I grew from, having a negative net worth when I was 29 years old, literally a negative $30,000 net worth, up to where I am now, where I have a very large net worth. But how could I get myself to that level and not share that information with other people? And so in 2017 or so, I started thinking about how could I leverage all that information and those experiences with money and real estate. And I developed Smart Money Bro. And I said, I'm kind of smart with my money and I'm a bro. So how can I begin to develop that? And so I created a website, smartmoneybro.com, where I actually still write a blog to this day, sharing with people. But also over there offer the one-on-one services with folks to help them as well. So it really all started from, this is what I've been doing for many years, working, building up my net worth, paying close attention to money, super tight on understanding how to budget and all that good stuff. How can I leverage that to help as many people as possible? And that right there got me excited about becoming an entrepreneur and really offering these services to other people.
Wow. Eric, is so many things that you mentioned, and we're going to unpack some of those things. First thing I want to say, for those that's watching now, watching later, I want you to understand where Eric started. He was very transparent with that, because there may be somebody watching now and saying, well, you know what? I don't have all the money. I may not even have the best grades in school. So how can I even be considered to even make it to the other side? You're watching a gentleman right now that was there, but didn't stay stuck there. So we speak life to anyone watching right now, that you do not have to stay stuck in the situation that you're in. Your financial situation can shift. And this is why we have Mr. Eric on with Smart Money Bro, sharing tips and information on how he transformed his life. Let me ask you, Eric, you were in school, you shared about the GPA, you shared about the in debt, I think you said 30,000, but then something kicked in for you in your why, and that was your daughter, right? And I'm saying this for a reason. For those that may feel that you're stuck in a situation, you need to know what your why is, because your why is going to pull you out of that situation. But I think it's so interesting. You mentioned you set up an eBay account and you netted over, I think you said 100,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have
Yes.
anyone teaching you or training you how to do it? Or did you just figure it out on your own?
Well, YouTube was your best friend and still is your best friend. Back in 2013, what I said was, how could I get into understanding buying low and selling high?
Okay.
A real basic economical thing that we all do, and we understand that in terms of business. And I just started with a few things around my house and said, well, let me put them on Amazon. I started on Amazon first.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let me put them on Amazon and let me try eBay about a month or two later. And I figured out which one worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, Amazon, you only get paid twice a month. And a lot of your items in the categories have to be new items. And I said, well, I'm not sourcing new items. Let me go ahead and do the eBay, because I can put used items. So one day, I think I was at an estate sale sourcing for some items, and I was just now starting eBay. And lo and behold, I found a pair of shoes, and I put the shoes on eBay, and the shoes sold for like $35. I had bought them for $4. I said, wow, what a margin. Wow, that I made $30 on one pair of shoes. So the next thing you know, I started buying shoes, and I started sourcing and purchasing shoes to repurpose. In other words, like, clean and get ready to go and photograph. And no, I learned, here's the thing. And, just to be as transparent as possible, I really believe that it's really about a mindset thing. Okay. So it's really about what you believe that you can do. It's going to dictate, determine what you ultimately will accomplish. If you believe you can accomplish it, then you can accomplish it. If you believe you can accomplish it, then you can do it. So I always had a really strong belief since I was little, and I can tell you about how that came about. I had a strong belief that I could do whatever I put my mind to, I could achieve and accomplish. I just had to really put my mind to it. Mm-hmm. And so I really believe that when I got started with eBay, when I got started with all these ventures in the late 90s, when I had $0 negative net worth, is when I bought my first piece of real estate. My first single family property was purchased when I was 30 years old. Now, up to that point, let me tell you a little bit about my story. Up to that point, I had never even lived in a property that was owned by anybody I knew. Again, I grew up in a very humble beginning. I didn't live in a suburb and a house. I grew up in apartments on rough streets. And so all my life, even through my 30s. And so when I got to be about 30 years old, I didn't know about buying houses or real estate and nothing about it. I just started learning about it and reading about it. And so my thing is, and that's what happened with eBay. I started learning and reading and watching YouTube. I just have this belief that I can do, and I apologize about the dog, but
it's okay.
I have this strong belief that, and I believe in God. And so I believe God I believe that God inside of me gives me this ability to accomplish what I believe I can accomplish, and I have faith that I can accomplish. So I take that with everything I do, from the real estate to the eBay to the smartmoneybro.com and helping other people, etc., to how I budget my money on every month basis. Everything I do, I believe that I can accomplish it if I just put my mind to it. So let me just kind of give you an idea where that came from. When I was working with young people for 7 years as a school teacher, I taught middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I learned is that, and I learned this when I was a child because it happened to me, is that if you make a person's success, if you tie it to their effort, you have a better outcome with that person. Instead of you can tie it to their effort, or you can tie it to who they are innately inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong thing, because if you tie it who they are innately, then they don't have the understanding that they can make changes or that they can turn things around. But if you tie it to their effort, it allows them the bandwidth and the space to make changes in how hard they try. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I was little, I was always told, every parent conference when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, I always listened to how they talked to my mother, and they would say one thing, and this one thing stuck with me. They said, he's very bright if he only applied himself. So what that means to me growing up from 5 years old to 15 years old to 25 years old to at the clubs when I'm 22 years old, right? What it always meant to me was, if I just applied myself, I can do anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I work with children, I always imparted that within them, that your success is not tied to who you are inside, or what your innate ability or inability is. It's tied to your effort, how hard you try, how hard you believe, the faith you have. All those things is what's going to make you successful, not just either I can do a math problem or I can't do a math problem. No, if you put your mind to that math problem and really focus in on it, you can achieve it. You can be an engineer, a lawyer, entrepreneur, business, whatever you want to do. So that is something that I carried with me. I imparted it in all the young people that I worked with, imparted in my own children, that is tied, your success is tied to the effort that you put in towards it. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I know our viewers right now that's watching is definitely soaking up, as I am soaking up what you're saying. I mean, I always call it golden nuggets. What I'm getting from you is, even though you may not have had a trainer, you didn't have a coach, you didn't have a teacher to teach you about the eBay, to teach you about the real estate, but you used the tool that everybody has. You went on YouTube.
That's right.
You started reading, you
That's
started researching. And so, where am I going with this? Anybody that's watching now, you may feel that you're stuck. You may feel that you don't have all the knowledge that you have. Use what you got. That's what I'm hearing from Eric. He used what he had.
that's
And
right.
he talked about how he was at this estate, and you bought a $4 pair of shoe, flipped it for 35. And so when you look at that, you mentioned about the profit margin. So I want us all to think right now, what tool do you have in your arsenal? What
Mhm.
do you have within your resources that you can grow your business model? Because a lot of times I think we get stuck, and this is why we call the show Good Morning to the Leader in You, because the whole
Mhm.
purpose of this show is to awaken the leader in you, all that untapped goodness on the inside. Let me tell you something. Eric is speaking to our heart and our mind right now to use what you got. That's what I'm getting from you. So in using what you got, speak to that person that says, well, you know what, I've gotten started, I'm kind of making some traction, but I feel stuck, and I may not have a lot of support system. Kind of talk about, if you don't have support system, how do you move forward if someone may be in that situation?
Yeah, well, there's a few things to think about. I mean, really, success, in my opinion, really starts in your mind and how you think, and having a positive mindset about things and looking on the bright side and being optimistic. I'm not saying don't be realistic, right? We know you have to be realistic about things and where you are, but y'all just got to think optimistically. If you don't have, listen, people always come to me, and let me give an example. People say to me things like, and I've had this happen to me, can I borrow, can you co-sign for me? And one of my rules of money is that I never co-sign for anybody,
Mm-hmm.
not even my own son. I have a son who's 32 years old, and I got some
Mm-hmm.
grandkids and all that good stuff. I don't co-sign. I don't loan money to anybody. What I
Mm-hmm.
do is I give people two things. I will give them what I can. If you ask for $1,000 and I have 100, or if I have 50, I'll give you what I can, whatever. I might have $500. But I also try to give people the number two thing, which is a different way of thinking about something.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time you look at a situation and you feel like you need help, and you might be that entrepreneur who has ran out of resources or people to support you, then if you just call in one person, that one person might be you, or it might be me, it might be you. But if you call in one person, that one person can give you a different way of looking at something, a different way of viewing your situation, and give you maybe some alternatives to think about. Because your mind, everybody's mind has only so much space, right, to think about the different alternatives and ways of going about things and so forth. But if you call on one other person that can give you some other ways to look at things and other things to think about, then it could help you. I'm not saying it's going to be the end all be all, but if you're stuck in a situation where you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what to do, I don't have support, I don't have this. Maybe there's a friend out there that you can call on, you can talk to, and give you a different way of looking at things. And that's why it's really important to surround yourself with people that don't necessarily always agree with everything you say. Surround yourself with people that will tell you the truth, no matter what's going on and what's happening, so that you can grow from that and you can expand your mind from that. So back to what I was saying, when somebody asks me to co-sign on something, I don't jump in and co-sign necessarily, but I tell them, hey, I'll give you what I can give you. But at the same time, I'm going to give you a different way to look at something, maybe a different way to think about something. And oftentimes that different way of thinking about something or looking at something is the catalyst you need to encourage you to keep going, or to maybe shift, or maybe pivot, or maybe do something a little bit different that will help you reach your ultimate success.
Yeah. As you were talking, the one word that popped in my mind was perspective. Everything that you're saying is talking about shifting our perspective, shifting how we think on things, shifting our outlook. So in other words, what is your perspective when you look at your business? What is your perspective when you think about, I'm trying to grow my business and I don't have resources? Well, shift your perspective and see, what do you have? Let me tell you something. And we was kind of talking before the show. My father's from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and he definitely used the limited resources he had. He started a cleaning business, and he didn't have a coach, he didn't have a trainer. It wasn't, that just wasn't there for him. He used what he had.
That's
and
right.
and this is what Eric is saying: use what you have and build. And quite honestly, this show's called Good Morning to the Leader in You. Sometimes leaders, you may not have nobody to lean on. You only sometimes may have yourself. And if you're in that situation, that's where how they say it, the rubber meets the road, where
That's
we
right.
have to stand, right? And if in the face of adversity, sometimes we have to stand in the face of what may appear to be a mountain in our business. You know, talk about a little bit more about Smart Money Bro, because there's somebody watching now or watching later, or somebody's going to send them this link. How can someone, sign up for your services? What are your services with Smart Money Bro?
So over at smartmoneybro.com is where I write, and it's just like it says, Smart Money Bro, all one word.com. What I try to do over there is I do write a blog, but I also work one-on-one with folks, just kind of personal, talking about personal financial stuff. And I talk about my story, how I went from nothing to a whole lot of something, how I grew my eBay business. There's a lot of different areas I can help people in, whether it's a small business, whether it's growing your net worth, understanding how to budget your money on a regular basis. Maybe it's something as simple as pooling your family money together, which is something we do in my family. 5 or 6 of us get together once a month. We have a meeting. We put all our money together. Just that whole thing about group economics. Whether it's investing in the stock market, mutual funds, ETFs, index funds, whatever you may do. These are all things that I work with people on a one-on-one basis to help them establish. It could be something as simple as, I had a death in the family, and now we have a windfall of $20,000 and we're not sure what to do with it. Anything dealing with personal finances, I try to help people with and help them grow, not just their money, but their mind about money, because everything regarding money really starts with your mindset. So we take them through all that process. What's your money mindset? What do you currently have coming in? What are your expenses? I go line by line at people's budget on a monthly basis and figure through. So there's a lot of things I do. Personal finance is personal. And a lot of times you can't get everything you need about your finances from a YouTube video or from a guy on the radio who's talking to 10 million people, because your situation is a little bit different. So I work with people one-on-one. Now, I'm not, just full disclaimer, I'm not a personal financial advisor. I'm not certified and licensed. However, I'm just a real dude that has
Mm-hmm.
been, that has seen a lot of stuff and has helped a lot of people and has taken myself in a big way in a lot of areas in terms of money. But the other thing I do over there, I also talk about real estate.
Mm.
Growing your real estate portfolio. If you want to get into real estate, if you want to get into the buy and hold method of real estate, or you want to flip houses, or you want to wholesale houses, or you want to buy commercial, or you want to speculate a little bit and buy some land, I help people with those thought processes as well
Mm-hmm.
to sort of see where they're at and help them grow their portfolio or even start a real estate portfolio. I
Mm.
started, like I said, when I was 29, 30 years old, I started with basically nothing, negative net worth, but I was able to buy property over the time. And I made I had some failures with properties too, but I
Mm-hmm.
also had a lot of success with property.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sit today, on a multi figure hundreds of thousands of net worth, not because I did everything right, but because I made failures and I learned from those failures and got better and better. So I do all those things over at smartmoneybro.com, and there's
Mm-hmm.
contact information in the contact tab there where you
Mm-hmm.
can reach out to me. I also just started a YouTube channel also. If you just plug
Okay.
in your search engine, Smart Money Bro, you'll see me talking about real estate and money on YouTube as well.
Absolutely. I want to explore two pieces, statements that you mentioned. I want to explore the group economics a little more, but also before we go to that one, I want to explore about the mindset as it relates to money. So
Mhm.
let's go back to when you was 29, going on 30, in the financial situation you was in, but you also, that was the same turning point when you got into the real estate industry.
Yes.
Now, speak to where you were at mentally. What was that shift? I know, of course, you wanted to do right because you had your daughter, but what had to shift in your mind to shift the finances? Do you see what was the shift?
Here's what helped me out, and it stayed in my mind when I was about 25 years old and I was teaching school. I had an insurance guy that came into the school because he wanted to sell an annuity to all of the teachers and all that good stuff. And he came into my classroom one time. I think about 25 years old. I was a first or second year teacher. He came into the classroom and he showed me compound interest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm saying to myself, compound interest. I had never heard of this. Right. I had back then you had typing and you had business class in high school, and then you went through college. And I started off college as a business major. I had never heard of compound interest. Right. So he showed me that when I was 25. And when I got to be 27, 28, 29, I started saying, okay, compound interest. Okay. I have a pension with my teacher retirement. They're putting money to the side automatically, like 9 or 10% of my money. And so, okay, let me learn a little bit about real estate. But in the back of my mind, when I was learning about real estate back then, it was Carlton Sheets and no money down and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was learning all that stuff and ordering the tapes and CDs, right, spending my last dollar to try to learn about real estate, in the back of my mind was compound interest
Okay.
that he showed me when I was 25 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
so I began to say, okay, wait a minute. And I started mapping out things. And I said, okay, if I do this and I do this, man, then in 15 years, I'll have this. And so I started thinking. And what really clicked is that I began to have a vision about where I could go if I just managed my money properly,
Mm-hmm.
be it real estate, be it my everyday budget, what have you. I just started having a vision, and it wasn't a perfect vision. I mean, it wasn't all of a sudden I woke up and there was a bright shining light through the window, right? It wasn't that
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, but I began to have a shift in my mind that started saying, okay, let me be a little more conscious about budgeting, about how I spend. Now, I did learn about the envelope system back when I was in college, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
started all these, there's a lot of little experiences leading up. The envelope system
Yeah.
when I was in college, the guy showing me compound interest when I was teaching school. And then me saying, you know what, I want to make some money in real estate, and me just learning about real estate. It all kind of added up. And so when I
Mm-hmm.
got about 30 years old, I ended up getting married, and we got a house assumed to us because my wife's mother gave us a house.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a super expensive house, but it's still one of my rental houses today,
Mm-hmm.
20 years later. So I got a house, and then I went out and bought my first house. So when I got 30 years old, all of a sudden I had two houses, and I had never had a house before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it began to make me, and of course I had some children as well, small But the point being is that I started thinking long term,
Mm-hmm.
vision, vision, vision. That was the big key. And I
Yes.
think over the course of the years, I kept that vision at the forefront. And that vision was, where I want to go, what my life is going to look like in 15 years or so. And so I had that vision always driving me, because vision, speaking to your entrepreneurs, vision is really, really important, because when you have the right vision, it's going to make all the decisions for you. So in other words, if you have that, and I'm a believer in things like vision boards and things like
Yes.
that. I think somewhere in Habakkuk it said, make the
And
vision.
write the vision, make it plain.
That's right. And so I'm big on making your vision plain to you, because what'll happen is that if you want to make a decision, then all you got to do and to learn to know if that's a right decision or a bad decision, look at your vision. Whenever I deal with people on a one-on-one basis, the first thing I ask them is, what are your goals? Because your goals, aka your vision, should be dictating your decision making, your choices. Should I go on vacation? Should I not go on vacation? Do we need to do we need to put that car on a lease, or do we need to buy it right out cash, or do we need to just go ahead and pay payments on it? Your vision should be dictating that. And same thing in your business. What is your business, your vision, your goal for your business? If you want to make $100,000 in sales by the end of this year, then what business decisions are you making to make that goal or that vision a reality? So vision is very important. I'm not talking about dreaming pie in the sky. I'm talking about real live, quantifiable, measurable goals that you can actually have, and action steps to get there. And if it doesn't line up with those goals, you don't do it. So once you have a vision, it's like it's not only making things plain in the future, but it's making choices plain right now in the present. So that's why vision is very important. And once you have that vision, I would tell all entrepreneurs, have a vision, make sure it's written down, make sure there's goals under those visions, and make sure there's action steps under those goals, so that you can reach and you can measure whether or not you reach them. Right?
Yeah.
I want to sell $100,000 in sales this year by December 31st. That right there is measurable, because when December 31st comes, you can measure if you did it. But just saying, oh, I want to increase my business, or I want to, that's not a goal. You have to make sure it's very plain, and it's very measurable, and it's quantifiable. So I didn't mean to give that speech on vision, but
no, I take it in, and I know for those that's tuning in now, you may be tuning in later, you may be sharing the link. We welcome you to Good Morning to the Leader in You. Right now, we're having a conversation with Mr. Eric BOWIE, and I tell you, he's breaking down, I think principles that we've heard, but sometimes we don't implement, right? And one of the things that I heard you say, a lot of times you got to cut back. I call it trim back the fat. Sometimes we have too many things, and it's not making any sense. It's not measuring up, as you stated, with the overall vision, yet we do it, yet then we don't see the financial growth that we want, because what we did and what we decided to do with the money did not match up with the vision. Listen, as we get ready to wind down this segment, I don't want to close out before you elaborate a little bit more on group economics. And there's a reason why I want you to elaborate on it, because when we talk about, I'm sure you've heard conversations about how can we better our community, how can we better our families. You said a few minutes ago, you and your family, I think you said about 6 of y'all get together, you discuss whatever financial strategy you want to put together. Talk about group economics and how that can shift a family, how that can shift a community before we wind down the show.
Excellent. Good question. One of the things that we did back in 2015 is my family, at the urging of my mother. Okay. I had one of those mothers who grew up during segregation and things like that. And she always would go to work at other people's communities, and she would come back home and say, well, in their community, we need to. So she would always talk about this, putting our money together because we're stronger. So in 2015, I'm the youngest of 5. So 3 of my siblings plus me, plus my mother, and our spouses, we got together and we said, okay, we might want to have some money to the side for a lot of different reasons. It could be any and everything. It could be just a matter of one day to have fun, one day to do a cookout, one day to take a vacation, whatever we made, or emergency. There's a family emergency and so forth. So we said, let's figure out how we're going to do this. So what we ultimately came up with was meet once a month, take a certain set amount of money once a month, put it into the family pool. And in that family pool, we actually wrote up bylaws. We did a whole organization. We wrote up bylaws on how we're going to use the money, how much of the money, who takes what. There's a secretary. I'm the treasurer. My sister is she's the person that kind of organized, kind of the sort of the leader. She's the oldest person, so she likes to be the leader anyway. So in other words, we gave everybody a role. We said, the first thing we did was we said, look, who wants to be involved? Can you commit to being involved? Because there's some sensitivities that happen when you mix money and family, right? So you got to be really careful about that and check out everybody's commitment and so forth. So the beauty is that we do this on a monthly basis. Matter of fact, later today, we actually have a meeting. Our monthly meeting is today. But we just wanted to say, how can we put our money together in case we want to do things? Now, in your family, this could look any way you decide to make it look, right? It could be we put in $200 a month, 10 people. We put in $20 a month, 5 people. Whatever it is, here's what it does for you. First of all, it empowers you with your money. One of the main things that people kind of lose sight of with money is they don't feel like they're in control of it. Okay, they feel like that somehow it's not in control, and man, this money is. And so money is pulling you all these different ways. But one thing that it does when you pull your family, your money together, is it helps you all feel a sense of control and ownership and leadership over your money, over your finances, because you get to make all the decisions. And, in our community, there's a lot of us that we're not used to making a lot of decisions with money. Decisions are made for us and we pay those bills, right? But when you are able to say, hey, let's take our money, and every month we have $150, and we might have our money in a bank or at a Vanguard or a Charles Schwab brokerage account, and it's growing, and we got $10,000, we got $20,000. Look, for some of us in our community, having a pool of $10,000 is beyond anything we could ever imagine, right? For some of us, having a pool of $50,000 would be like, whoo! All of a sudden, you feel a sense of control, relief, empowerment. That's what pooling your money is all about. And you see other cultures do this when they immigrate or they migrate to America or immigrate to America, and they do these things, and we're trying to figure out what are they doing. And one of the things that they're doing is they're collecting their money together, and the money is more powerful when you develop a strong base foundation of cash, which is capital. Right. So if you got a $50,000 capital, maybe your family might want to go buy a multifamily apartment building, or maybe you guys want to buy a couple of rental houses or something. It's all about empowerment when it comes to money. And this is why you do anything with money. When you budget your money, you're telling your money what to do. When you pool your money together as a family, now you have the opportunity to tell your money what to do. That's powerful. And it's a power that we don't know. A lot of us don't really experience. So in 2015, we said, let's do it. We did it. Thankfully, everybody's intact still. Nobody's going, had any problem. But it's all about being able to take your money, put it together, whatever you choose, whatever amount. That's a personal, your family decision, or it could be a group of 10 people, whatever. I like family because there's a history of trust that goes along with family. Okay. And so we have our meetings, we have our business meeting. And then the other thing, here's the beauty about it. It allows us at some point, at least once a month, whenever we decide to get together, to actually have some fellowship with each other. Right. So you may not live near each other. You might want to do this on Zoom, whatever it is. It gives you not only time to build and grow, time to feel empowered with your money, because I'm going to guarantee you, there's somebody in your family that is not used to doing that with money. They don't have an understanding of money that you may have. But at the same time, now you're teaching them, or they're learning what it's like to grow money. And another thing we do, just to kind of stay with that, is we sometimes will have someone come in and talk about a money topic. And
Mm.
so now we're educating people in our family about, maybe it's about insurance, whole life insurance versus term insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's about the difference between having your money at a bank and having your money in Vanguard. But the point is, you get an opportunity to educate your family. You get an opportunity to feel empowered with your family. You get an opportunity to fellowship with your family, and you get an opportunity to grow capital with your family. Great. It's a great thing to do. But there's some steps to that. I
Yeah.
actually have a blog post on my website
Mm-hmm.
that really talks about that. So, because there's a why and a how, and
Yeah.
I want to explore both areas. But I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Listen, this has been a powerful segment. For those that's watching now, you may be watching the replay. I want you to go to smartmoneybro.com, follow his blog, connect with him, set up a consultation appointment. The whole purpose of why we bring on leaders to this show is to expose our audience with individuals that critically think, right? That bring some perspective to our conversation of leaders and how we can grow and how we can expand beyond the borders, how we can, not just stay stuck in the box, and how we can expand our mind. And I believe this segment did just that today. So, Mr. Eric, I thank you. Plug your contact information.
Yeah, I just want to tell your group that your listeners that I offer a free 15-minute consultation to just have a conversation with me. For some people, that free 15-minute consultation or conversation is all they need. For others that want to work more in depth with me, we can go further. But off the bat, if you go to smartmoneybro.com and schedule it, I'll just have a 15-minute conversation, because my goal, I don't need to get rich off of that, right? I have real estate, and I also work for the federal government, et cetera. But I'm really about trying to help people just do better with their money, because that's really what I want to see. There's so much misuse of our funds and our money and the things that we get. I do offer a free consultation for those that reach out. For
Wow.
15 minutes.
Again, that's smartmoneybro.com. Go to his website. Any other handles you want to plug?
We do have a Facebook page. It's a Facebook group that's Smart Money Bro. And of course, check me out on YouTube. Just plug in your search, Smart Money Bro. And I'm talking about some of these things in terms of money and real estate. Being a landlord for 20 plus years, there's a lot of information that I like to impart. And I do that on my YouTube channel at Smart Money Bro.
Absolutely. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, leaders, we're about to wind down this segment. We want you to stay plugged. Next week, we're going to have another leader on this show, dropping gems, dropping golden nuggets, as I always say. Again, Mr. Eric, thank you for coming on. And I believe what you imparted to us today, definitely with everything, with your transition, but the piece about what your family is doing, I think is huge. And I believe if we adopt that same philosophy and mimic it, what makes sense in our families, we can ultimately see the community change, because when the family nucleus change, that impacts the community. And with that being said, we're getting ready to close out. Good morning to the leader in you. And like I always say, we're going to see you at the top.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.